So we've started off here, both starting in Link's house, getting a bottle in Link's house. Looks like both of them checking out what's on Hylia Island. Sometimes there could be something good, and they can do a little trick to get on that island if they need to grab anything off of it. But not today, we won't see that. So we got some pretty good sync here going over to Saha. This is a common starting route for Overworld glitches because you have the boots, so no need for bombs to open that wall.
Yeah, these circular walls that you see them bonk into can be cleared by bonking. There aren't as many of them as there probably should be, but hey, the back of the closet's got some useful stuff.
Yep, we got our courtesy swords, so that's going to make their spin speed clips, well, doable in the first place, but it's going to make clips in general much easier, as you know, when you're doing your teleports and such. That we'll get into as we see our runners do those. And in Overworld glitches, we do start with boots because we gotta go fast, but also mainly because it helps with the clips into the wall that our runners will be doing quite often.
Yeah, I think most of those clips can be done with select buffering if you really want to, but nobody wants to do that. It's not fun. It's not really fun to watch either, so let's just let these guys go as fast as they can from the very start.
That is correct. Ooh, and the bush crab paying off with some nice little bomb packs there. Those are always welcome in the early seed.
Yeah, I couldn't ask for a better place for that. Excuse me as I trip over my words, but with the bush crab dropping 8 bombs, they could go buy all of the upgrades down at Lake Hylia and still fill their bomb pack off that crab.
And nothing but a 20 on the mushroom spot and a piece of heart in the bandit hideout. So Glan looking to be headed towards Kakariko. Hacksaww will probably head that way as well. Usually if you see someone that's headed in a different direction, they won't go to Kakariko right away. Sometimes you see routing decisions that take you in different directions in Overworld glitches, but Kakariko is the play for Hacksaww and Glan today.
Yeah, in between Blind's hideout, the well, and the couple other miscellaneous checks, it is still the most dense location in the game, aside from maybe Ganon's Tower. So even if you want to do a different opening play, you're not going to put it off for that long.
Yep, so we got a cape and a shovel so far. And it looks Hacksaww is setting up some water walk here. You can use any drop-down hole, and if you dash past it, you can use it to set up a water walk.
You normally see that set up in the Dark World to get to the east side, but Hacksaww deciding he wants to immediately go check, it looks like King Zora's area?
Yep, and with Overworld glitches, any of the minor glitches that you can do during, NMG normal rando seeds are in logic at this point, such as fake flipper and water walking.
And I guess he didn't see anything he liked on the ledge, but he was taking the walk back. Looked like I thought he was going to take it to Hobo, but looks like he's clipping somewhere instead.
Yep, and it looks like he's going to do a kind of a Death Mountain ascent here.
I've seen people use that to go down the mountain. Not sure I've ever seen that one in reverse myself, but obviously a very valid way to get to the east side of Death Mountain.
Yep. But meanwhile, Glan cleaning out Kakariko Town did find the ice rod, so that will be a welcome sight just in case we need to deal with Trinex. And Hacksaww finding the mirror, that's huge in Overworld glitches. That's Dark World access. Either Moon Pearl or Mirror means Dark World access because in Overworld glitches, there's tons of things you can do with just the mirror.
Found a hammer as well inside Paradox Cave, so that's pretty loaded.
And Glan finding the Canis Maria on Race Game, just using the teleport to grab that item without having to play the game. Even though we like to go fast, we don't like to play the race game.
Yeah, that's pretty slow. It's like 9 seconds once you get it started, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Ooh. Hacksaww getting dead rocked and will have to go back down off Death Mountain.
We'll see if he chooses to. He might just abort and go to Kakariko instead. He did get Paradox Cave, which is the big prize over there. Also worth calling out, we did see the map check on Glan's side. We only saw one pendant at the Desert Palace that he's in right now. 2 of them gonna be in the Dark World. What do you think the chances are one of them's Turtle Rock?
Well, I don't know. I feel like Turtle Rock is a pendant a lot of times in Overworld glitches, but that could just be confirmation bias.
Yeah, and then we've also got the early Ice Rod confirmation bias in play as well for that.
And Glan clearing out desert, taking a death warp to head back outside, and we'll probably see him. Oh, looks like he's going to grab the big chest here.
Yeah, he did see one item, a red rupee on the torch, so there's still a chance this big chest has something.
And it has something, but not anything spectacular, just 10 arrows.
I'm a little surprised that he didn't leave to go check Agina's cave, with that being right there, but he's still got Checkerboard Cave in the area too that he'll have to go back for. He'll figure something out.
Yeah, there's, the Checkerboard Cave, he doesn't have gloves, and there's Moon Pearl on the bottle vendor. I didn't see Glan. Oh, he did pick that up. Okay,
he
Glan
did.
picked up the Moon Pearl.
We just both missed it.
Yep. So Hacksaww, now armed with the mirror and the Moon Pearl, will have an advantage in Dark World access unless Glan gets to that mirror quickly. Because once you are in the Dark World, having that mirror, being able to just kind of route in certain things, like one of the things that I do is if I don't get to South Shore, by the time I get to the Dark World, I route it in with Smith, or Purple Chest if I get the Titan's Mitts early enough. Because without the Titan's Mitts, grabbing Purple Chest is kind of, you have to do a clip and swim across the moat to get there, so it's not along that same route. But
I do recall hearing that Purple Chest and Smith without the mitts isn't even in logic for this tournament, although obviously most of these runners will know how to do it, and we probably won't see very often.
Yep, and it looks like Hacksaww is trying to cheat the race game as well. Didn't get it the first time. I'm going to go try it again. So, meanwhile, Glan picked up a second sword in Mini Moldorm and Blue Mail in Ice Rod, so that's going to help with some combat situations. And Glan's setting up that water walk, so we'll be headed off to the Zora area.
Looks like Hacksaww has abandoned his attempt to cheat the race game after failing it twice, which is a little unfortunate. Was able to get right next to it, but not able to actually get into the item.
So Glan's storing that water walk from Ice Rod Cave and headed over to Hobo, and then we'll be able to use the double water walk if he wants to when he goes up to Zora area.
We know that he probably won't need to since that ledge item is just a bottle, but still pretty nice to have as an alternative to that clip. Or just using the water walk now to get there even faster.
Yep, that's another valid use for it, and honestly not surprised. Glan knows how to clip up to the Zora ledge without the double water walk, so...
The only thing missing is that he needs about 150 more rupees to get King Zora's item, and he's not finding that here.
So we're seeing Glan and Hacksaww kind of trading places a little bit. We'll see if Glan does the Zora DMA. DMA standing for Death Mountain Ascent.
Looks like no, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go with a more conventional West Side Death Mountain Ascent, starting here at the Sanctuary.
Yeah, I can't think of any other play. You know, there's plenty of miscellaneous things that you could do on the Overworld, but heading up to Death Mountain is probably the best play here.
Between Hera and Paradox Cave, it's the most dense set of checks available to him right now for sure.
And Glan using a slightly modified DMA. That's the same traditional area that you would use for the standard DMA, but he actually used a variant of that to get straight to Hera. And we got a hint that the Book of Medora is in Ganon's Tower.
The sad part is that in Overworld glitches, that doesn't even mean we can just write the item off. Because all it does for us is tablets. But we can get into Ganon's Tower pretty much whenever with the items that these runners have. So, not impossible for something to be on those tablets still.
Yeah, Hacksaww having that hammer could elect to go left side. There are plenty of tricks you can do to clear the entirety of left side. And getting that early shovel check in and getting half magic for it. That'll be nice to have throughout the seed.
Unfortunately, on Glan's side, we did get a something sharp requires a bomb hint, but Mini Moldorm Cave has already fulfilled that for us, so can't say it means anything at this point.
Yep, and Hacksaww looks like he's going to do the standard DMA. So this is, so you have to, with that, basically what happens is you use a teleport to go over a transition, and so when they use an up teleport, it goes past the transition, and then we can just walk right into the Death Mountain area, and if you go into any cave or dungeon, or cave that has more than one entrance and exit, basically, it'll fix your screen, which is what Hacksaww did there. But for that particular one, you have to scroll the screen up and then back down enough. Otherwise, that when you go into the cave to fix your screen, it will take like 2 minutes to load. Like literally 2 minutes. And Hacksaw doing the quick Hera entrance clip there.
I cannot remember if we got 2 items on Glan's side. I know we just saw a compass there, and I know Moldrum dropped a small key. Cannot remember if we saw a map, though.
Alright, so Glan rescuing the old man, and then now it looks like he's gonna head on over to the east side of Death Mountain, so we'll be picking up that mirror and hammer.
Might be able to get at whatever's in Spiral Cave, as well as the Bombos medallion we saw on the floating island, too.
OWG mirror was in Paradox. So Hacksaw will find use to that hint. Has not found any swords that require a bomb just yet.
Unfortunately, that was a map in the big, which means that we are isolating something in the basement. Let's just hope a hint shows up for that and we never have to think about it again.
Glan picking up his hammer. So we'll see if Glan, I would expect him to head on over to the Dark World from here. Probably go over to Turtle Rock and head into the portal that way. Probably check Spiral Cave right before that, but... Looks like Glan is going to go for the Bombos on the island here.
We have no idea if it's required or not. Between Misery Mire and Ice Palace, it's not that bad of odds. Definitely better to have and not need than the other way around.
And Glan getting Dead Rock there. Meanwhile, Hacksaw using hammer strats on Molorm. And yep, Glan is headed straight to the Dark World, not even going to bother with Spiral Cave.
I'm a little surprised about the lack of a Spiral Cave check, because he does have the boots and a sword to make it about as fast as it'll get, but it is still sort of slow and it is only 1 item.
You can also mirror it in. So, I mean, he may still mirror it in after all these checks.
That's true. And I guess that would probably be more convenient, because all of the Dark Death Mountain stuff you enter from the very top. Except Turtle Rock.
And speaking of Turtle Rock, while the medallion to open it is going to be Ether today, rarely do we ever have to open Turtle Rock, and it's a pendant. So there you go. And we've got a Thieves Town green pendant. That could be interesting. And Hacksaw is going for the Pyramid Fairy mirror wrap here. So So now he's got to just kill himself off, and because he wants to keep his portal, so if he save and quits, that'll go away. So Hacksaw's going to go and check what's inside Pyramid Fairy pretty quick. Glan, on the other hand, is headed back up to Hera and resetting the camera, so I wonder if this might be a Gana's Tower play.
Hammer and bomb jumps will get you the entirety of the left side even without hookshot. He does have some Aria for tile room, but not a fire source for the rest of the right side.
Yep, he's going to do the DMD, so he's going to head on down to the Dark World and start clearing some stuff out down there. Looks like we're going to see what's on Bumper Ledge first. And it is nothing. And speaking of nothing, we've also got nothing in Pyramid Fairy. But Hacksaww will check on what's the Pyramid Ledge and may route in Hyrule Castle or may bypass it.
Little disappointed he didn't route in the castle there. I'm hoping to see two gloves in the back of the sewers now.
So it looks like he's setting up to go take a swim through the moat here. Alright, so he's headed off. Basically, you can clip just... There's no real fancy tricks other than clipping. You just clip straight through the wall and then you just fall in. And if you do it at the right point, you'll get fake flippers and be able to continue. Now for this, you have to swim along the bottom wall and then as you transition, hold up so that you pop out of the water. And this is the way to get over to hammer pegs and if you've done the smiths, the purple chest without Titan Smiths.
On the other side, though, as I think we saw there with the save and quit, there's no way out once you're there unless you have the mid.
Oasi correcting me, you have to hold up and left to get out of the water.
Looks like the Village of Outcasts check, including the front four of Thieves Town, were just more or less total garbage too. 300 rupees was the highlight, and that's pretty mediocre if you ask me.
And Hacksaww performing what is called the Death Mountain Super Drop. You can use a screen wrap and in conjunction with that, jump down all the way to the bottom of the map if you line it up correctly on that left-hand side. It's a bit more complex than I'm explaining, but, well, it's kind of one of those funny tricks there.
It looks cool, too.
But yeah, it's a quick way to get all the way down to the bottom of the map.
I did not see that Misery Mire medallion through the blinking.
And Mire Shed having nothing, so Glan looks like he's going to head back outside and probably do checkerboard here, or maybe it's Bombo, so he can go inside Misery Mire and he can clear it.
Yep. I have no doubt he can do the dark rooms if he wants to.
Provided that it's not fire locked.
Oh, right, that is a caveat, because we have absolutely no fire source still 25 minutes in. We've already isolated one item in the Hera basement on account of that. maybe isolating a couple more here, depending on how things shake out.
Oh, and our bomb, something sharp is requires a bomb is a 2-for-1 hint because there was a sword in the back of Hype Cave, so Hacksaww looks like he's going to head over to Mini Moldorm and get a third sword.
2-for-1 special indeed.
And there it is, Hacksaww getting his tempered sword, and Glan's still kind of looking for that big key.
Nah, he found it. It was in the spike chest.
Oh, it was in the spike chest? Okay.
Sort of a waste of a Godmire, if you ask me.
Well, I guess he's just crossing his fingers and hoping that the items are accessible, at least one of them.
He's still got 4 checks left, including the boss, and then 2 that are firelocked, so good chance he'll find at least 1, but that's both map and compass already. Actually, I think there's 2 items on the left side. If I remember the key logic correctly, there can only be a small key on the right if the big key is also there.
Mire's small keys are weird. I always feel like you have too many of them.
Yeah, there's 1. This one should be 2. And then Vitreous should have the 3rd if I understand this key logic correctly. Which is really unfortunate.
So Hacksaww picking up another heart container from Hobo, and Glan will be headed on back to do Vitreous. For me personally, this would be not the best use of time, but if Glan's confident in his skills in fighting Vitreous with just the... Well, he does have the cape, so that does make Vitreous actually a lot easier.
He is missing that half magic that Hacksaww picked up out of the big spot, though. And that, alongside that tempered sword, would make Vitreous a lot more bearable.
Yeah, but with Cape and Master Sword, you can probably get at least half the eyes down before you run out of magic. If you're good at it, you can probably get most of them down.
I know that the cape has a quirk where if you're swinging your sword, it effectively doesn't drain magic for a little bit. But I don't think it's possible to mash fast enough to have it drain no magic in that state like it would if you pulled the wall. Also, Hacksaww thumbing his nose at the red mail. Uncle says it's for cowards. I'm usually inclined to agree, and I guess Hacksaww does too.
Well, not only that, in glitched modes, not that it matters at this point, because most of the dying in dungeons that you'd be doing in Overworld is, like, intentional deaths would be in case you didn't have Moon Pearls, so you'd be doing bunny revivals and such, but in glitched modes, having red mail is very annoying. Because you sometimes want to take intentional deaths to do certain things.
Glan spending a long time there trying to farm hearts and bombs. Mostly hearts, I think, on account of only having 2 of them when he started. But let's see how this goes.
And instead of spamming, Glan is going to just use some spin strats, and he's wasn't careful enough. Ended up dying to the slime on the floor there.
Choosing to leave instead of trying again, which I think is absolutely the correct choice given my own personal understanding of Meyer key logic.
It's like Glan wanted to do checkerboard but does not have gloves, so cannot do that.
We'll get the Agena cave check that he missed out on earlier. We know it's junk because Hacksaww did it, but still, he can't afford to leave that behind.
And there's the fire source. We've got a French vanilla fire rod. So that is a big find by Hacksaww.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Skull Woods for best dungeon. At the very least, it's giving us the best weapon, both here and in vanilla.
Yeah, and paired with the half magic, that's gonna definitely give Hacksaww a combat advantage. Not to mention he has tempered. So Glan exiting the Mire area, going to do K45 here, and then we'll probably see him do Stumpy, as well as Hype Cave.
Little surprised he didn't turn up for the digging game first. I don't think we saw him do that earlier. I'm betting he wished he had this half magic 3 minutes ago, though. And right, chat reminding me that, yeah, Glan already did do digging game. He did it before clipping down to Meyer, and then came back afterward.
Wow. It looks like Glan is going to go back into Mire. I'm surprised at this. Maybe he just wants to get Mire out of the way? I mean, I would come back with a fire source at this point.
Right, and guarantee that you're not leaving items behind, especially... Let me see, what do we need still? We need a bow, we need a glove. We do need one glove, right?
Well, we need one glove. Wait, Ice Palace, yes. We need Ice Palace, we need one glove.
Okay, right, to lift the block to cold stare. So yeah, a bow, a hook shot, a glove, and the flippers are the only items we don't know about that we might need. Glan obviously needs a couple more in the form of, or at least one more in the form of the fire rod, while Hacksaww needs that Bombos medallion, but he knows where it is.
Well, I guess, yeah, I'm not sure what Glan's reasoning for this is, because he's going to have to come back from Mire again, potentially, if there's an item there that he needs. But he knows that the lamp can't be here, at least. At least on Vitreous. Since dark rooms are not in logic in Overworld glitches.
Yeah. Dark rooms are not in logic for any randomizer, thankfully. A lot of the good runners can do them with minimal difficulty, but would really suck for pretty much anybody else if they were required by logic.
Well, yeah, I mean, not many people even play major glitches where it would be a questionable thing where it's See, because to me, I don't know, it seems a bit silly if you're doing major glitches that you can't do dark rooms, but at the same time, I'm sure there's major glitches that are in a lot harder in dark rooms to do if you actually have to do them in dark rooms.
Yeah, and I mean, even just to use a minor glitch as an example, I've seen some attempts at the Misery Mire spooky action glitch go wrong when people try it in the dark, so...
So Glan's gonna take out Vitreous here, I would say. Meanwhile, Hacksaww in Thieves Town. And he's just doing the front four and leaving. I think we got 2 items out the front.
2 items, a compass, and a big key. Closest to useful was a blue potion.
Well, Hacksaww grabbing a red potion from the Kakariko shop. Not sure why he just didn't use the Dark World one, but looks like he's gonna head for the Smith.
Well, so Glan did get his Vitreous kill, and like I thought, it was a small key, which makes me a little more confident in my understanding of Mire logic, if nothing.
So Hacksaww is gonna do a YBA here, which will allow him to bypass the collision that leads up to the Smith. Wanting to make sure he's getting this right, and he did not.
Little bit of frustration is pretty visible there. I would be too in his shoes.
Well, the best thing to do if you're not really, if you want to make sure you get those lineups correct, like when you're on the edge of a transition, what you want to do is use a bomb to blow you backwards towards the transition, and it'll set you in the exact, right at that edge.
Yeah, that does work. We do occasionally see that as a fake flipper setup, for example, and especially in no major glitches. But it's one of those things. He thought he had it, and it turned out he didn't, and it happens.
Yeah, in a case like that, I would just opt for the bomb strats instead of just trying to set it up myself, because you got basically one shot at it. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back around because you don't have Titan's Mist to get back up. And doesn't even have another pair of gloves to use to get back into the Dark World from the Kakariko portal. But Glan's going to give us a look at Hyrule Castle, which a lot of times gets abandoned for last in Overworld glitches.
Seems to often get abandoned for last in No Glitches Open as well. Just because it's actually surprisingly out of the way from Link's house. It takes a good few seconds to get there and then another few minutes to actually go through. And it's only a couple checks.
Yeah, what I like to do is, if I have Mirror, I like to route in Pyramid, Fairy Pyramid with Hyrule Castle, if I can.
Yeah, that's good, efficient routing in pretty much any mode. Definitely like that.
And looks like Hacksaww is going to head up to GT. I don't blame him because with that Fire Rod and Kena Samaria, he can clear out left and right side.
If he knows how to and cares to clip the mimics, he can clear the upstairs as well. I've personally yet to see that this tournament, but I know that it's happened and I know that it's legal.
Doesn't want to play in Tile Room just yet. Wow, look at that. The lamp in Zelda's cell.
That's some just vanilla things right there. But that is a good find for him because it is a fire source that he pretty badly needs at this point.
And Hacksaww giving the good old Samaria block punt.
Gibdos did their best to deny him, though. It was a little bit sad.
So it's interesting that we have a small key. Gloves could show up here on Glan's side.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm hoping to see both of them at this point so that they have no choice but to go all the way through and can't just drop into the grave.
Look at that. So Glan getting a big advantage there. Having a pair of gloves is pretty key. It adds a lot to convenience, and is going to be required for Ice Palace as well, which Glan has Bombos, so could go there if he wants to.
Is this going to be Ganon's tower for him as well, though? Yeah, oh no, it's Spike Cave.
Yeah, it still might be Ganon's Tower. This is a good time to write. Anytime you go to Ganon's Tower, it's a good time to route in Spike Cave, especially if you have half magic. And Hacksaww doing everyone's favorite sword, Armos Knights. Always the slowest, besides Boomerang.
Makes me long for the Cane of Burna. He does have the Fire Rod, but I'm guessing he's not using it on account of only having about a quarter of a magic bar.
And Glan is setting up the Pyramid Fairy. And there's our flippers behind Armos, along with the magic powder. So we've got the bat check to make, perhaps, and we have swamp access. So both Glan and Hacksaww finding some interesting items that the other does not have.
I have a sneaking suspicion that we're not going to, or that we're going to see required bowless Ice Armos on both sides here once we find that bow.
Hacksaww doing a hover to get across to Stalfos' room.
No problem at all.
Just the casual hover. So far, Armos' room was pretty much the only room that had much value.
Still 7 more checks, including the big chest. Got this one that he just got, then Rando Room is 4 more, and then Tile Room. And then potentially 4 more upstairs if he finds the bow or otherwise chooses to. Oh, I forgot about this room, so that's another one.
Looks like Glan is going to head to Hammer Pegs as well. Hacksaw trying to bomb jump across. And getting the single rupee.
Took him a bit to get the boot set up that he was trying for the first time, but did get it, and it is what led him across that gap.
Alright, here we have Rando Room. There's our big key and Ether. Yeah, so okay, I was worried that he was gonna mirror out without checking big chest.
No, and it's close enough that it's mirroring out would be pretty tragic at this point, but
yeah, when he pulled out that mirror, I was like, make sure you get the big chest. And Glan, setting up for a screen wrap here to get into Ice Palace. Oh wow, what a prize indeed. Getting silvers in that big chest, and it looks like he's gonna head up to finish this place out.
he has omitted the tile room. Oh, no. Okay, just using sword beams. So to answer chat, Fire Rod was in Skull Woods. Not quite full vanilla, but pretty close.
I believe it was in the compass chest.
Yes, that would be accurate. Unless I'm mixing up map and compass. It was in the drop-down chest on the left.
So Hacksaw is going to try to clip these mimics out. Hey, if you can do it, you know, why not clear GT all in one go? It will be tragic if there's something in tile room, though. Not that it's a hard check, but and there they go.
Oh, that looked a little bit silly.
This is a clip that is actually allowed in NMG as well. It's just you don't see many people in NMG, or sorry, you know, no glitches. You don't see a lot of people that are able to do this.
Yeah, its applicability in a glitchless logic is a lot smaller than it is in a mode where you can get to Ganon's Tower without having all your crystals. Because generally, the vast majority of the time, at least one of Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness will be crystal dungeons, which means you need the bow anyways. And then even if they're both pendants, the likelihood that you stumble upon the bow while searching is pretty good. We did see Hacksaw get one mimic out, but not both of them. Kinda curious how that happened, but there it goes.
Sometimes they don't line up the same way, so that's how that happens. Glan finding out that Pyramid Fairy is dead. That's something he found out a long time ago.
I'm sure he really wishes that were a Westmeyer hint right now.
So getting the bomb jump. Meanwhile, Hacksaw is headed up to the gauntlet.
I'm curious what kind of strats he pulls out without the bow. Sword Beam seemed to win the day against Sophos, though.
Okay, you got the half magic and you got the fire rod. Those are very valid strats.
Yeah, that's a bit more along the lines of what I was expecting.
Very nice gauntlet from Hacksaww. And Glan getting, like, he's getting robbed in Ice Palace, getting not one, but 2 big 20s so far. The worst thing about having to do Ice Palace is having to do Ice Palace and coming up with nothing to show for it. I mean, you get a crystal, but come on.
The good news is that he's found both dungeon items. Bad news is that now we know Cold Stare is not dropping anything.
Yep, and gets a bottle as the 3rd item.
Will still be his 3rd crystal, though.
It'll be interesting to see how long it takes him to go to Skull Woods. A lot of runners do not go to Skull Woods without the fire rod. At least until much later, when they're kind of forced to.
Sort of makes me miss the old versions of Logic where you knew Skull Woods would have some value.
And Glan, Cold Stare fight nicely done. Getting them packed in the corner for most of the fight there. Makes it real easy when they're all bunched together like that.
Yep, and with that tempered sword, it's a real easy 6 slashes even without the fire rod.
And Hacksaw's not going to play around. Just going to kill Moldorm. Well, he'll have to hover anyway, so...
Killing Moldorm is necessary to spawn the chest, and it means Moldorm won't get in his way, so good decision. Yeah. And to answer a question, Bombos is on the floating island. Hacksaww does know about it. He got dead rocked when he was trying to grab it the first time and died, and has not been back.
And speaking of the mountain, we've got Glan checking out Hera Basement.
If this is the bow, it could be really big. But I think the bow is all that's left at this point between the 2 runners combined.
We will need Hookshot.
Oh yes, I forgot about that item for the back of Swamp Palace.
And down goes Aga2, but this is Overworld Glitches, and if you're just tuning in, that does not mean that Hacksaww is about to face the big pig. We still need to collect some crystals to make that pig killable.
Isolated Hera Basement turns out to be a waste of time for Glan. Only thing he gets is the peace of mind of knowing that location is no longer isolated.
So Glan's headed over to East Death Mountain. May see a turtle rock laser bridge ramp here. That's what it looks like he's going to do. And getting that. So we'll get to see what's on Laser Bridge. This one is not in Logic, but I believe we can, in Logic, get here. So using that method is not in Logic, but I believe we have what we need to logically get here.
Yeah, with Samaria, I'm pretty sure Laser Bridge is more or less always in Logic. I don't think there's a key layout that blocks it.
Yeah, Hacksaww found the fire rod, but nothing on Laser Bridge. So Glan's going to continue on backward through Turtle Rock here. And it looks like Hacksaww is going to get that lamp. That will be a welcome addition to his equipment.
Also, if you're ever doing that room Glan just did, you're doing it in reverse in the dark, just hold up. A lot easier than doing it forwards.
Man, so far, everywhere Glan has touched has come up empty. That's gotta be a bad feeling when you're running, like, I mean, like, don't you hate it when you just, like, everywhere you go is just completely barren?
Yeah, especially when I'm this close to go mode with this many options left. These are just the worst kind of scenes.
And there's Hacksaw's lamp. And he is going through the sewers, so we'll be picking up the glove as well.
At this point, he's surely got to suspect that at least one of them is back there. 56 minutes in, and a lot of the rest of the world cleared outside of the dungeons and no glove in sight. That's not normal by any means.
Not to mention, if you've got the Hyrule Castle small key, and you haven't seen those gloves for a while, that's exactly, you know, you start to suspect something.
Glan, trying to wait out the chain chomps, eventually just gets bored or impatient and goes for the cape.
So Glan will be able to pick up one of these checks, but not the other two. So I imagine that Hacksaww will probably think about heading to Ice Palace here, or maybe go back up to get the Bombos medallion. Looks like he probably is gonna head to Ice first.
That's what it's looking like to me. I'd be surprised to see a Swamp Palace play without the hook shot and with other options on the table.
Yeah, this is Ice Palace play. So you can use spin speed to jump up on corners, and you have to kind of hit it in a very exact way. But yeah, you can use it to jump up onto ledges sometimes with those thin too high walls.
Chat's saying that Ice Palace without the hookshot risks orphaning an item, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there's only a risk of that if you don't do the bomb jump, is that correct?
Correct. And these runners, again, are going to be more familiar than a lot of players with all the no glitches strats. So bomb jumps being one of the staple features of Ice Palace. There's like 3 or 4 bomb jumps.
Yeah, the primary one in the Firebar room is the one that pretty much anybody who seriously speedruns this game knows. But there's another one in the Freezor room, and there's one in the Jellyfish room where both sides of it are locked that leads to the right side. I cannot remember if there's another one I'm forgetting.
Technically, there's two in the freezer room. One going towards the door, one going from the door.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point.
Because you can use a bomb jump to get to that doorway.
But yeah, this is the one that everybody talks about when they just say Ice Palace bomb jump. And very clean from Hacksaww.
Well, as you said, that the commentator's curse caught up, and that fire bar just snagged him.
Yeah, gets it cleanly the second time as well, though, and makes his way through the door.
And Glan is in GT, so we'll be getting at least the flippers. He could go for the right side as well with the lamp, just a bit more annoying.
I expect we'll at least see tile room from him on the right side, even though Hacksaww skipped it.
Yeah, it looks like Hacksaww is going to show us that bomb jump I was referencing, the one that you can jump to the door.
And then he'll show us the other one in the room that you generally consider a hookshot lock.
But it's something to consider that this would not be in logic.
Yep. Just like dark rooms, bomb jumps and hovering are also never in logic.
So it could help you kind of deduce where the hook shot won't be. So I'm pretty sure at this point, you know, having to do those jumps based on the key layout, that hookshot could never have been in ice.
Or at the very least, not on the right side of it.
And Glan is headed on over to Bob's chest and the Ice Armos fight. Hacksaww headed back over to the left-hand side to get the big chest and finish this dungeon out. Again, I would not be surprised to see him snag that Bombos and maybe try to do hookshot at the same time.
Yeah, we did see him hover previously, so Hookshot Cave is absolutely on the table for him.
I don't remember if he ever got to the Dark World and did Super Bunny.
Now that you mention it, I feel like he did, but I can't say for sure either. Looks like some Mario strats for Glan against the Ice Armos. Combined with...
Alright, so Hacksaww going to take on Cold Stare here. Glan going to pick up his flippers once he's done hacking away.
There was also a magic powder back in that room, which is good for exactly one check.
Also good for safeties. Who's gonna say no to some free fairies?
Yeah, ain't that the case?
Alright, down goes Cold Stare. Now, let's see if Glan goes and checks Tile Room, because that could have some interesting things there. I mean, Hookshot could be there for all we know.
Actually, wait. Tile Room has to be the Book of Medora. We got the hint about that a long time ago.
That's why he never checked Tile Room. But I would still grab it, because the tablets could be something.
Right. Tile Room is essentially 2 checks for free here.
I mean, I guess if you want to bank against the tablets, and say, well, I'll take care of it if it comes to it, I mean, I guess you could skip the book.
Yeah. It's one of those things, when you're in a race, you can make whatever gambles you think you need to make to win, and this would certainly be a very valid one. Because it is a slow check for something that is at best a fetch quest.
Yep, and here's Hacksaww headed up to East Death Mountain. This is a good time to grab that Bombos Medallion, because don't even need to glitch there anymore. Can just, well, besides getting over to the... it looks like he's going to go to Laser Bridge.
Yeah, he can full clear Turtle Rock if he wants to. Also, I'd like to note, we did see Glan enter that northern room here in Ganon's Tower, specifically because he intends to bomb jump and light the torch. And then he'll fall in the pit like we just saw, which will reset his position and set him up to light the other torches.
Yep, this is an annoying check to, or an annoying sequence that you have to go in, but you know, sometimes you don't know where the fire rod is, so it's all you can do.
Yeah, and just a reminder, we did say earlier, but this is absolutely 100% out of logic. So, at the very least, Glan knows that nothing he finds back here will lead to the fire rod. Although we know there's nothing really back here in general.
Alright, so Hacksaww looks like he got that Turtle Rock Laser Bridge clip.
And if I remember Glan's finds correctly in Turtle Rock, there's only 2 locations of value left to check. The big chest and Trinex himself. I think if I counted keys correctly, there's a big key, small key on the fire rod side.
Also, I want to note that we have not seen the back of Thieves Town yet, and it is a green pendant.
So that's 3 potential items as well, if it comes down to it.
Because we've got 2 items from Thieves Town already. And Glan's going to check this tablet. Nothing but a big 20.
Still 1 more for that book to potentially pay off, though.
Yep, and just for those of you wondering, book is only useful for the tablets in Overworld Glitches Logic. We do not need the book to access Desert.
In fact, the non-land molas checks in Desert are a part of the so-called Sphere 1 for Overworld Glitches. You can get to those from minute 0 if you really want to. And
you'll often see runners, just as both of these runners did, route in Desert from Kakariko. And Glan doing a Death Mountain descent. This one is just a spin speed clip. You just walk off of that corner there, and it will take you straight down to Catfish.
With that mirror equipped, I gotta imagine he's gonna pay King Zora immediately afterwards. But that mushroom's another fetch quest find.
Not a bad place to pick it up.
Except for the fact that he's gotta run completely the wrong direction to turn it in.
But he does have the flippers now, so exiting Zora's domain will be a little bit less frustrating. And Zora just coming up with big 10 arrows, so Hacksaww making his way to the front of Turtle Rock here, and we'll be able to check those two fire rod locked chests. And then once he picks up that big key, could mirror all the way back to Trinex if he needs to, and kill Trinex if he so desires.
I think at this point he might want to. That's my prediction, at least. The way he's been playing, the fact that he's still searching for at least that bow.
Yep.
Hookshot as well.
And just because chat loves their peds, Bo is a candidate for ped.
Yeah, ped is 100% directly in logic accessible right now. Has been for a while, actually, from the moment we saw Hacksaww pick up that fire rod. So anything can be there, progression or trash.
Wow, that mushroom turned into a hookshot.
That's big. Means Glan can go to Swamp Palace right now and full cleared if he so chooses.
But Hacksaww has the opportunity. He is leaving Turtle Rock here. Could potentially just jump down and grab that mushroom too.
Yeah. Let's see what he chooses to do here. Looks like he may just be resetting his Turtle Rock so that he can enter the big chest.
No, he had to reset that way. Looks like number one, he's going to take care of these checks. But number two, if he went back to the light world or the dark world, he'd be stuck in that Turtle Rock face anyway. So he would have had to use that portal to get unstuck.
Okay, I didn't realize he was stuck, although, yeah, that makes a lot of logical sense.
Because the front of Turtle Rock hasn't been opened yet. But yeah, this would be the best time for Hacksaww to go ahead and, after getting his bombos and checking Hookshot Cave, to go ahead and do the Catfish DMD. Because if he doesn't, I can't see another good time to check Catfish for a while.
Yeah, because Catfish DMD is the closest you'll ever be to that location in pretty much any mode. Everything else has it as a pretty long walk.
And Hacksaww has given up on hovering and is going to go grab the Bombos Medallion.
Which is fine. That's still something he absolutely needs.
Meanwhile, Glan is in the swamp, so we'll see if anything good shows up here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bo here.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a suspicion about it for a while, just because it seems to be one of the more common silly locations for it.
So it looks like Hacksaww did go ahead and do the catfish DMD. So picked up the mushroom and is going to go check Zora here and maybe turn in that mushroom. Again, it's not the most convenient check in the world, but this is the best time to do it unless you somehow stumble across a flute or maybe do a witch auto funny walk funny auto walk thing.
Not turning in the mushroom, though. I guess he could use the portal south of Link's house to get to that fairly quickly, but still, he was in a fairly convenient spot for it.
This may be slightly faster. I'd say it's actually... it's respectably faster.
Okay, I never actually timed it out, so I had no idea. But, okay. So, good news for Hacksaww. He'll be getting his hook shortly. And that does mean that, well, Hacksaww will just be looking for a bow. Glan will be looking for both a bow and a fire rod. But an hour and 17 minutes or so here in, and we're getting close to go mode, just not quite there.
And Hacksaww looks like he's got a red potion. Maybe round 2 for the Smith check.
Have to imagine he's going to clear Swamp Palace first, just because of item density and Crystal Dungeon, but who knows?
Yep, and you are correct. He is headed to Swamp as well. Glan about to show us if Swamp is worth anything. And Tensai, we have not seen anybody even open up Pod.
We saw both runners go to Sahasrala's closet as their first checks of the game, and neither runner has been back to that region since, Light World or Dark.
Yeah, we haven't even seen Eastern Dip yet.
Argus is our last hope for Swamp Palace to have the bow.
So right now, if I were to say someone had an advantage, I would say Hacksaww would have an advantage, but Glan's not losing any time at the moment until Hacksaww finds that bow. Or until Glan runs out of checks and has to actually go looking for the fire rod. Azure Fire Rod is in Skullwood's compass chest. I believe it's the compass chest.
I would... Oh, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I would personally say that Glan has the advantage as long as the bow is found after the fire rod. Mostly because it means he'll at least get to have go mode clears of Eastern Palace, Palace of Darkness, which Hacksaww is guaranteed to have. Although big key locations could negate most of that as well, like if the Eastern big key is vanilla and Pods is in the Dark Maze, for example. But it's basically gonna come down to whatever extra checks he makes looking for the fire rod after both of them find the bow. And then he's still got upstairs GT against Hacksaww still having Misery Mire.
Yes, but we do know that Mire is a God Mire.
Right. Which
Hacksaww with Silver's Lamp and God Mire. Mire is not going to take a whole lot of time out.
No, but it is still something that he has to do, similar to how Upstairs GT is still something Glan has to do.
Oh, we got a checkerboard cave check. And that's probably the last item Glan wanted to see.
So, 2 gloves in locations that you would typically consider, or try to consider, glove locked, with one being in the back sewers and one being under a big rock.
Well, at least Glan can easily do the smiths now. Tensai, mitts are logically required for smiths, as well as ice palace, but there are ways to get around both of those things without mitts.
I think we might see Hacksaww demonstrate mitts without, or Smith without mitts once he realizes Swamp Palace is dry.
Alright, so Glan is going to check on the smiths. And just a heart container from the smiths. And so we haven't checked Magic Bat yet either. So Glan's going to check that, as well as Purple Chest.
I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Purple Chest hint yet. Although that reminds me, we also have not seen a left side of Misery Mire hint, the Firelock side. And Glan did isolate both of those locations, with both of them being items. We know they're both items. We've seen everything else in Misery Mire.
That is a good point, because, let's see, the Fire Rod was easily accessible, required no items to get, so, and the lamp was also in Hyrule Castle, so both fire sources were accessible with no item requirements, so that means that this could be anything. Because Bombos was also out in the open, fully accessible with no items. But look at that! Glan finding the bow on Purple Chest!
Oh, that's big. And now I'm just left wondering how different this race may have been if Hacksaww didn't fail his attempt to do Mitless Smiths with a YBA earlier.
And Glan getting that YBA headed on over to the eastern and pod area, gonna go take both of those out. But it's not over yet, because Glan is still looking for the Fire Rod, so is gonna full clear pod and eastern.
Yep. Favorable big key positions here are not what Glan wants to see right now. And then, for Glan's sake, we also don't want to see him dip, say, the rest of Thieves Town looking for that fire.
So we know now that whatever Hacksaww finds over here is not going to be that important.
I think the only things we would find that would light up on a tracker are the flute, Burna, that, and the remaining boss.
Yeah, it all's going to depend on Hacksaww doing Smiths, which I'm pretty sure he's going to do after Meyer, because it's a good time you can just hop up onto that ledge along the outside of Meyer and just walk on over to the spot you need to YBA to. He could also check checkerboard and just grab the Titan Smiths as well.
I think he'll be more inclined to the checkerboard check, but that will also push him to the Smiths.
So this is still a race, but it's going to be, at this point, a full-on race to the finish for execution as long as Hacksaww goes straight to the Smiths.
Yeah. That does assume that Glan doesn't throw time on other checks after full clearing Palace of Darkness, Eastern Palace.
Yeah.
But we did see the big key in pod was vanilla, which isn't exactly a favorable location, but it's not a bad one either.
Yeah. At this juncture, if I was Glan and didn't find Fire Rod here, I would go to Skullwoods. I wouldn't do anything else until I check Skullwoods. Because you'll have 6 dungeons, there's 6 crystals at that point, and if it so happens that it's at the last crystal you need, then you win. Well, not win, but you know, you win the guessing game.
Yeah. The only thing about that is the back of Thieves Town is 3 items. Skull Woods is only 2. That may be a more tempting check when they're both right there. Well, let me rephrase that. Thieves Town is 2 items in the back, plus a green pendant for a 3rd later. If he were to route Thieves Town into Skull Woods, he would only see 2 of those items, presumably.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer, though, in if it's my last dungeon and I'm looking for 1 item, I'm just gonna go for it. If even if I can't full clear it, because if the item I need to full clear that dungeon shows up, then I'm wasting no time.
And you're also saving a ton of time over people who would try to play a bit more cautiously.
Yep, and Hacksaww is going over to the Smith/checkerboard area, and it looks to be a checkerboard check, so he will be happy to see those Titan Smiths after messing up the YBA the first time. He'll probably be like, yeah, I'll just play it safe here.
And it also means he won't have to do that clip that he did earlier in the race to get to the purple chest area without the mitts again.
I'm not sure why he's saving quit.
Oh, is he going to pod Eastern without the bow? Oh, this is highly unfortunate for Hacksaww if this is the play he's making.
Yeah, I mean, that looks to be it.
Oh, this is just unlucky. Especially since if I was counting keys on Glan's side correctly, I don't think Palace of Darkness is bow locked in any way besides those 2 items on the right. So he'll be able to full clear this, aside from those 3 checks.
I'm just, I can't. To me, I don't know what propelled him to come here, because he got that red potion, which I was assuming that's what he was going to use to do a Smith YBA again. but he got the Titans mitts and didn't do Smith.
Yeah, the really unfortunate part about this is that, like chat's pointing out, this is the mathematically efficient and correct play. It's just not the play that has the answer he needs. So there's no real way to fault him for choosing this choice. It's a lot of items.
Yeah. It's just, you know, I wouldn't normally fault this. It's just it was a peculiar moment from what I could see. Maybe I was wrong in thinking that he was going to try to go for Smith after Meyer with that red potion.
That potion may have just been a safety play, considering his actions afterwards.
But yeah, now for Hacksaww, he's gonna have to hope that Glan does some more overworld checks while he goes ahead and goes through Pod here.
I'm trying to think of what overworld checks are even left for these guys at this point, though.
Well, this could have been the other thing that he could have purchased the red potion for, but I mean, I would have just got a green if it was for this usage. And Hacksaww making a wise decision there, realizing that he's bow locked and the bow can't be there.
Yeah, there's absolutely no need to clip those mimics, because it cannot possibly lead to his last time.
PCU is not in logic. That would be the potion glitch for that Azure is referencing.
I'm personally hoping that it doesn't ever get put in logic, because if it gets put in logic for overworld glitches, there's no way to justify not putting it in logic for no major glitches as well. And having a glitch like that be logic seems a little iffy. Overworld glitches is overworld glitches for a reason. Also, right, I'm getting too hung up on vanilla no major glitches speedrun also being the tournament rules for randomizer racing conventionally, but yeah, there is a no glitches logic. There's not a no major glitches logic. But the point I'm making is still that there is this logic is overworld glitches.
So for those of you that are just arriving here, Hacksaww is looking for the bow and Glan is looking for the fire rod. So once one of our runners finds what they need, they will be in go mode.
And the big thing to call out on both of those, the fire rod is French vanilla in Skull Woods, and the bow is in the purple chest, where Hacksaww failed the YBA to do Mitsless Smiths once, and then has not gone back to that since getting his mitts. Also, the glove locations were really fun in this seed. One was in the back sewers, and the other was in the checkerboard cave.
Alright, so Hacksaww is headed west. Is this a Smith check? He does have the bat to check as well.
I've got to imagine if he's using the Dark World portal, that's exactly what it is.
And this looks to be what Hacksaww needs to be hoping for. Maybe, okay, or maybe Glan is just finishing up GT here.
Yeah, doing this doesn't lose Glan any time unless he bungles the torch rooms. So this is a perfectly fine play for Glan. It's 4 checks that are directly in his way and that he has to make.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest advantage that Hacksaww has, is having cleared all of GT. And Hacksaww seems to be thinking.
We did see him duck back into the sick kid hut earlier, so may have forgotten that he bungled that YBA.
Maybe he checked it off prematurely if he's using a map tracker. Or maybe he's trying to piece the logic puzzle together as to where Bo can and cannot be.
I mean, at this point, it can be anywhere. He bow-locked himself out of pod, and that's an unfortunate save and quit.
Oh, is this going to be a tile room play to get the book? Or, oh, this could be Hera basement.
Why not both? If you're going for one, there's no reason not to go for the other once the first one doesn't pan out.
Yeah, oh, not a Hera basement. Could be Spike Cave check.
Could be Turtle Rock as well. So there are still 2 items to find there between the big chest and Trinex himself. And 3 items in Hookshot Cave as well.
So, nothing of note there. Glan near the top of the tower. We haven't seen this big chest here, and we haven't seen Trinex. We haven't seen the back of Thieves Town. So
He's got options, just none of them are good. And at some point,
back up.
sorry. This might be GT.
Yeah, it's gonna be Spike Cave, and then GT. I think Hacksaww might be a little flustered.
Yeah, hard not to be at this point, especially with the way we saw him stop at the Magic Bat after getting that check. At some point, assuming he hasn't entirely forgotten about it, the Smith's Chain will be the least bad check for him.
And Glan taking down Aga 2, so all he's got to do is basically just check out Skull Woods, and he'll be in go mode, but he may opt to do overworld checks.
Yep, at this point it's really just who finds the item first. Although even then, I think at this point Glan still has the advantage because he'll be in his last dungeon once he finds the item.
Yep. And Glan taking a little shortcut to go over to Village of Outcasts, and from here we'll see if he goes and finishes the back of Thieves Town, or if he goes to Skull Woods.
He's done everything else in the region, so those are his only possible options.
And it's the back of Thieves Town. I would be shocked if Glan doesn't go to Skull Woods after this.
Also, the chat's talking about the book was in Tile Room. We did get a book in Ganon's Tower hint early in this seed. So it would appear that Hacksaww either has forgotten the hint or has chosen to gamble it. Regardless, he is committed to skipping that location.
Yeah, this race really came down to, one major thing is Hacksaww was going to go for Smiths early, and he didn't get the YBA to free the Smith, so at that point has not gone back for it.
Yeah. And just the way it turned out, both of these runners have converged on the back of Thieves Town after they both did the first 4 relatively early on. And they're both running really short on options after this.
Yeah, like I said, I would not be shocked to see Glan go to Skull Woods after this. Meanwhile, Hacksaww, based on what he's been doing so far, I would say he could possibly go to Saha to turn in the green pendant.
Yeah. But the sad part, if he goes for that, is that this is, again, the closest he'll be to Smith's until he explicitly chooses to make the check if he leaves. There will never be a better time for him than this.
Yeah, as you're pointing out that Hacksaww does not have the flute, but Glan, if he wants to go turn in the green pendant, can just use the flute to get back and forth.
I don't believe he's activated that yet, but that's still only like 10 seconds.
And here it is. Hacksaww looks like he's going to do the blacksmith play. But again, Glan's going to have to do some more things for Hacksaww to catch up.
And with Glan going north, this may turn out to be a case of too little too late.
And it looks like Glan is going to go into Skull Woods and grab that fire rod. So once Glan stumbles across it in Skull Woods, it will be in go mode, and this race will be almost over. Skull Woods not very long to complete. And Hacksaww, do not think he will have enough time to complete Eastern and Pod once he finds the bow.
He will be entering go mode within about 30 seconds, though. All he's got to do is deliver that chest, and he will join Glan in go mode about an hour and 46 in.
And Glan is in go mode at 1 hour 45 minutes. And here come the rage slashes. Nope, Hacksaw's got no rage slash. He's got time. He's got things to do.
Yeah, at this point, he knows he's gotta be gone if he wants to have any chance.
And Glan is headed down to kill the moth.
Yep, that moth kill will be his 7th crystal, and then all he'll have to do is find his way back to the pyramid, drop in, and kill Ganon.
And with Tempered Sword and Silvers in hand, the chances of any errors on Ganon are fairly low, but again, anything still could happen.
Right. Probability of something going wrong is most certainly not 0 at this point, but it's 100% Glan's race to lose.
Glan takes down the moth as Hacksaww is entering Pod.
Cannot remember if he picked up the big key on his first trip through. I think he did, because he was trying to bow lock himself. And yeah, we can see it on his menu. He does have it.
So now all Glan has to do is run on over to the pyramid and take on Ganon. And Check's hoping for a moat clip here. It's a interesting clip that you can use to catapult yourself onto the upper level of the tower, or sorry, of the Hyrule Castle.
And he hula hands himself instead. Also, to answer a question in chat, Fire Rod was required for Go mode because it's required to open up the back of Skull Woods. You cannot reach Mothula without it. 100% impossible. Under the rules of this tournament, at least.
Alright, so Hacksaww almost to the Helmasaur King, Glan almost to the Ganon. Alright, so Glan is taking on Ganon and getting a nice little positioning for some double spins and a few poke dashes in there. That should be enough to push him into phase 3, and it is.
Yep, really clean first couple phases. Now all he's got to do is cut Ganon down enough through the warps to put silvers in.
And Hacksaww going to finish Eastern. Glan in phase 4, already getting 1 silver. Getting a triple. There we go. Glan finishing off Ganon, and once he crosses that treacherous last bridge there, we'll get the official SRL time. Get your GGs in chat for Glan.
And that is Glan finishing the race in first place with a time of 1 hour, 51 minutes even. Hacksaww is not going to be that far behind. He's just got to make his way through a couple more rooms in the back of Eastern Palace, plunk silver arrows into the Armos Knights, and then he'll be off back to the pyramid himself to kill Ganon.
And it's not too far of a walk from Pod. So it looks like Glan will be joining us for an interview. Just gonna wait for him to get in here while we watch Hacksaww take on the Armos Knights.
Silver arrows make that about as easy as it gets.
Yep. Yeah, this race came down to a fire rod and bow hunt. But as we wait for everything to kind of settle here, we've got another match on for you today on SpeedGaming 5. It's Chex Human versus Act the Boker. If you're looking for some more Overworld glitch action, we've got some more for you there. And we are joined by Glan. GG, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
So, how did you feel about that seed?
That was an adventure. I should not have won.
Nice Houlihan room, by the way. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it well, I sort of understand why it happened, but it was still a little funny to see at the very end.
With that clip, if you like keep pulling a direction while you're falling, it scrolls the screen for some reason, and that makes it Houlihan.
And Hacksaww
So it's
just...
a bit of a finicky thing to get again.
Yep. Hacksaww just entering phase 3, so he will be taking on the big pig, taking him down very shortly here with that gold sword in hand and silvers. It'll be quite the easy fight. By the way, Glenn, gold sword was on the firelock side of Meyer.
Okay. I was really hoping that wasn't the fire rod.
Yeah, we were interested by the decisions you made around Misery Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
You died to Vitreous. We thought you'd wait till you had a fire source to go back, but you grabbed half magic and off to the races you were.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, with half magic cape, it's free. I'm just gonna go back now. Whatever.
So no concern about those items at all?
And Hacksaww finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 2 seconds. Get your GGs in chat for Hacksaww. And we are joined by Hacksaww. GG, and what did you think about the seed?
Hacksaw, your mic may be off or muted.
Yeah, I pushed it talking. I wasn't pushing the button. GG to Glan, and yeah, that seed was special. I'll just say that.
Yeah, GG.
I want to say this, that race could have been totally different, and it's not, you know, to belabor the point, but Hacksaw attempted to do blacksmith earlier on in the seed, much earlier,
Ooh.
and didn't make the YBA, so ended up last locationing the bow. So if he had gotten that YBA off, it could have been a much different race.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess getting the smith doesn't necessarily make the purple chest easy to do without mitts. But yeah.
Wait, I went back there later, did the hammer pegs, and the chest wasn't there. So
Yeah.
I would have got it like right then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you both went and swam through the moat to do hammer pegs and such. But how about them glove locations?
Yeah, those were special.
I'm a fan of them personally. I was hoping to see 2 in the back of the sewers, but what we actually got was just as.
Yep, by the time I got one out of the sewers, I was like, there's almost got to be one here, and then the other one's glove lock.
Yeah, I was totally expecting the glove there in Escape.
Yeah.
Not a checkerboard though.
Yeah, that glove at Escape, we were expecting it kind of too, because we were saying you go that long in the seed without finding a glove, and then if you go through Hyrule Castle and get that small key to go to the back, yeah, that's a big sign that a glove might be there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he gave you the lamp in Zelda's cell. But yeah, I mean, it was a close race for a while. It's just you know, basically just Glan didn't find the bow fast enough, and that's kind of, you know, where it is because Glan, you were looking for the fire rod, and Hacksaw was looking for the bow, and Glan got to what he needed first, and that was kind of where it ended there.
Yeah. The seed kind of hit, was kind of against, like, some of my common routing choices I make. Like, I'm not a fan of dipping Crystal Skullwoods without Fire Rod, and I don't generally sequence break the Smith, because it's just 2 items. It seems to be, like, it's kind of like a little out of your way sort of thing.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of screwed on 2 ends there.
yeah, I mean, it was also kind of interesting to see that like a lot of the dungeons just came up completely empty. Like Ice was empty, Turtle Rock was empty, and well, what else was empty? Like all the items were kind of just like piled into a few areas.
I think every dungeon except Skullwoods was empty.
And GT.
Okay, yes, GT as well. But even so, that's just 2 dungeons out of 11 that had any sort of real progression.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, I mean, Pod had the flute, but, like, who really cares about the flute? I got it, like, an hour and a half into the seed.
Where was it? I missed it.
It was Pod Big Chest.
Oh yeah, I never went to the back of pod BOGO mode.
Yeah, I was still looking for Fire Rod.
Yeah, I mean, this is overworld glitches, and what do you know? Most of the items were found in the overworld. So that's a little funny coincidence there. But I mean, it was a good race. Like for the most part, like most of the race was pretty even. Like um, there was like some items where, like the hook shot, where Glan could have ran away with it for a little while, but Hacksaww just happened to be right behind him due to having to go up to Dark Death Mountain and get the Bombos medallion. So Hacksaww just got the hook shot maybe about 5-10 minutes after you. So, but yeah, for the most part, it was pretty close. It came down to the bow and the fire rod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shoutouts to Dead Rocks, by the way. Really doing their best to mess with Hacksaww at the start of the race, unfortunately.
Dude, I love Dead Rocks. They're my favorite enemy in the game.
And they love you too, man.
Yeah, they always show me nothing but love, and they always seem to avoid me and never get in the way. They're perfect.
But make sure you follow these runners, by the way. They're putting on a good show for us. And follow my co-commentator, Reg, as well as doing double duty, doing tracker here. And as I said before, we've got another Overworld Glitch race coming up in about 30 minutes here. Chex Human versus Act the Boker on SpeedGaming 5. And then if you're looking for any other Speed Gaming events, we've got Wednesday Night Magic going on the Speed Gaming main channel. We've got a Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer Spring Tournament that started about 30 minutes ago on Speed Gaming 4, and a Bloodborne All Bosses Tournament on Speed Gaming 2 that started about 30 minutes ago as well. Any final thoughts there?
Next time, I'm not going to let Glan beat my menu time by 1 second.
Yeah, you guys have not yet scheduled your game too, right?
No, we need to, though.
I'll be looking for it. I saw a lot to like in this race on both sides, and this one didn't turn out your way, Hacksaww, but I saw a lot to let me think that Game 2 very well could.
Yeah, the things are the overworld glitches, especially in the seeds like this one where you get Mirror Moon Pearl real early. So much of the map opens up. It's almost like a crapshoot, and sometimes it ends up just who can check the most items most efficiently. And today it was Glan.
Yeah, definitely my least favorite kind to see, because it does feel like you're just running around playing a guessing game, seeing who stumbles upon the stuff first.
But yep, so again, GG's to you both. Thanks for putting on a great race, and that'll about do it for us. Make sure, again, if you want to see more Overworld Glitches, Speed Gaming 5 in about 30 minutes, we'll have another match for you. But aside from that, I am HXC Jetters, and we will see you all later.
Mm-hmm. Likewise, I've been Reg. Our runners have been Hacksaww and Glan. And good night, everybody.